Hey, Vinyl Community, Jeff here with just a little fun realization about my life that I don't know why it didn't dawn on me before this. So the other day I was out and about. I made a comment on somebody's video the other day about how I needed to get a particular soundtrack. And then it just happened that this past weekend we were out and about and we went to the store where there's a lot of booths, one of those, not really an antique store, more like I don't know what they call them, a bunch of different. You buy a booth, you sell stuff. And in this particular place, people have knickknacks. It's almost kind of like an antique store, but yeah, maybe it is. Not really. Um, we go there, there's a couple around here. And so a couple of the booths have random albums. Some have a lot of albums and some have a little box of albums. So I was flipping through this box of albums. They had about 20 albums and I found a couple that I actually picked up. They were actually for surprisingly decent prices. And this is one that I had just recently mentioned on somebody's thing. I still don't have a copy of that soundtrack, even though in the day I had the singles. And I picked up the Grease soundtrack. They had the Grease soundtrack, $10, double record set. I'm like, then it dawned on me, and I've told this story before, in the 70s, before I discovered Kiss and then got into rock and roll, I listened to a lot of 45s. I don't think I owned any albums. All of my records were just 45s. I had one of those little portable pop the top off record players, had a radio and a record player, and I'd walk around with a handful of 45s and play 45s with my friends, and we would play singles. And it was a lot of the same stuff. And at the time, this was 1978, so this was right before I discovered Kiss, but at the time, there was a lot of Grease. I saw this movie numerous times, loved the movie. Obviously, at the age of less than 12, I probably didn't get all the innuendos that were being said throughout the music and in the movie itself, but I just really enjoyed the movie and the sound. Well, then it dawned on me, that really when I go back a couple years, 1974, now here I am at the age of like 8, and I'm seeing movies like Phantom of the Paradise. I saw this movie, think way more than probably 8 times, 6 to 8 times in the theater. I was that enamored with it. Again, there was probably things in here that were outside of my understanding age-wise, but musically I loved it. Still love it. It's still a cult classic. I still love the soundtrack. I tracked down the CD when it came out. When CDs were coming out, I tracked that down. I picked up the DVD eventually, and now I have the Blu-ray extended bonus this, bonus that. Beth got me over at this 80s. She got me the soundtrack because I'd mentioned it and I could never find it, and she found it and sent it to me as VCLT a while back, which I'm totally grateful for because I just love this soundtrack. What dawned on me, the other thing that I used to have a lot of, also, this is 1977, was I had singles, of course. You can see the theme here. It's like the Bee Gees and Grease and stuff along that line. These were a lot of the things. Now, I don't recall ever having any of the music as for this back in the 70s. I don't think there were, I don't know if there were singles for this. But Grease, Saturday Night Fever. Again, this is a movie I don't think I saw. I think this is a rated R, right? I doubt I saw this movie, but the music was on the radio. Bee Gees, disco. 77, was things were really popping in there. And I just realized that my earliest musical influences were show tunes. I am the product of show tunes. My brother, I have 2 brothers. One's 5 years older than me. One is 7 years older than me. There was rock and roll around the house. I've mentioned this before. My older brother, I vividly recall pictures of Queen, mental pictures of Queen albums and Alice Cooper and Steely Dan and things along that line. So my older brother was into the classic rock. I don't recall ever listening to any of that stuff, really paying much attention to it. My influences apparently were from the movies. This is probably one of the earliest movies I saw. Numerous times, fell in love with it. It's a musical, so I'm a child of the musicals. Then come along in 77, probably didn't see this but heard the songs, bought a lot of the singles, had this album, bought the album. When I started getting into records, I bought the album, which would have been in the later 70s. But in the time this came out, I probably had singles because that's probably all I could afford to get my parents to get me. But eventually bought the album and had the entire album. Never did own the Grease album, but it was just a lot of singles. And then by the time I got back, was buying a lot of records and stuff, I just, for some reason, never picked this up. So finally have this. It was in great condition for the price. I was thrilled. The other thing I picked up along the same line, 1978, is the Sgt. Pepper's soundtrack. Now, I was not aware of this back in the day. I don't think I ever saw this. Not sure. Maybe I knew some of the songs. Maybe I'd heard some of the songs. Saw the movie many, many years later. Became a Beatles fan to a degree and saw, got into that. So, yeah, I think I've seen this movie like once. But this they had at that same booth. Also, double record set. Also in great condition. Also for a great price. So, but it dawned on me as I'm going back and revisiting this that I am a child of show tunes. I was influenced more by the movies I saw as a child. Yeah, and there's certain movies that I vividly remember seeing, and this was one of them, and The Phantom of the Paradise was the other one. And then, of course, by the time you get to like 77, I think I saw Star Wars. I saw Star Wars in the theater probably a dozen times. So obviously, as a kid, it seems like movies were a big thing, and music from movies was very influential on me. So anyway, it just dawned on me. I'm like, I'm a child of the musical genre. I never consider, and I still to this day like them, but I don't run out. I'm just, it's weird. It hasn't influenced me to the point where I run out and buy all kinds of soundtracks to musicals. I mean, I've seen a lot of the big ones that have come out in the past 20, 30 years, but don't think any of them have spurred me on to go out and buy them. But these early ones, I was influenced by. Finally have the Grease soundtrack. Great stuff. And yeah, listen to this. Just brought back so many memories of my childhood. Anyway, I just realized that. Thought it was fun to share. Hope you all enjoy it. I'll see you later. Rock on. Rock hard.